what happened was I spent a month there, and I applied to many of the big firms, Sanofi, Roche, whatever you name it. And I was told I was overqualified.
Croydon Fernandes of Last Minute Productions, welcome to Million Opinions.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
Your story is very fascinating because you studied microbiology.
I studied biochemistry and did my further research in biomedical science with a specialization in cancer research.
You can tell I'm not a science student because I got your education wrong.
No, it's absolutely
Despite
fine.
you telling me that.
I did study microbiology.
Okay.
There was a module that I had, and I really enjoyed it. But my primary focus was on biochemistry. Growing up, I really liked a lot of, these, the forensic CSI, et cetera. So I'd actually wanted to get into forensic sciences, forensic studies. But my dad at that time had told me, he said, why don't you focus on the main disciple? That would probably get you better opportunities as you grow older. I was like, all right, fine. So did my studies over here. I grew up in the UAE, studied over here, finished my A-levels, got the grades that were required for the university I was applying to, and jetted off in 2008. And I did biochemistry over there for about 3 years. I did pretty okay. That's also where I met my wife, Madonna. We met over there, and then I continued to do my further studies in biomedical science research in Bristol University. And that was in 2011, I believe. And I graduated with the merit and all the honors and whatnot. I tried to find work over there in the UK with this particular disciple, but then being an international student, it was very difficult, especially around that time. The world was just recovering from the financial crash of 2008, and governments were shifting as well. A lot of immigration policies, etc., had changed, so it made it much more difficult for an international student to sort of get work at that particular point, unless you had a particular passport or whatever it was. So I couldn't find work over there. I decided after I finished off my 6 months of the additional stay to try and find work, I came back to the UAE to try and ply my trade in science over here. Wasn't really successful for about a year. Was one of the most challenging mentally and, in terms of self-confidence as well. Like for a year, I struggled to find anything. And it was like, at that particular point, I started doubting myself, like, am I that bad, or why can't I just find a job?
And this is a merit student talking.
Yes. To put into context, when I joined university as a bachelor's, there were 385 students, if I'm mistaken. Only about 45 graduated.
Wow.
Yeah, in the biochemistry course. And then in my master's, there were only 20 of us. And out of the 20, 18 of us graduated. Two dropped out. But that shows how difficult it was to obtain that particular kind of degree and to stick through it. And I had a lot of work done in trying to find the early detection for child cancer. My specialty was in neuroblastoma. I had actually helped the university get grants and stuff like that. None of that really worked in my favor in the long run because, I'm here today in the UAE. So yeah, I tried finding work. I tried finding jobs. I was offered a job at a university over here, but at a very menial, degrading salary, not what you'd expect, and with terrible conditions attached to it as well. And I was like, this is not what I studied so much for. I really didn't see myself actually getting anywhere with that particular point. So literally about a year after I had come back here to the UAE, I basically said, you know what, let me just put away my science background and just take any job that comes into the market, whatever I see. And literally, I remember it was September or August, end of August, I'd given myself a deadline. At the beginning of September of 2012, 2013, one of those years, that I'd look for something outside my field. And I just applied for the first job I saw was as a sales and marketing executive in some exhibitions firm, and within a week I got the job. That's how different it was with having a science background, but and picking a business background. I don't know why, but I guess that's the market over here in the UAE.
Did you not try to go back to India and get something done?
I did try to go to India in the middle because everyone said there might be opportunities for you over there. And what happened was I spent a month there, And I applied to many of the big firms, Sanofi, Roche, whoever, whatever you name it. And I was told I was overqualified. I don't get it. Literally, that was what I was told 3 separate times by 3 different companies. Oh, you're overqualified. We won't be able to hire you here. That's it. Even with people, even with known people, with Vasta, as we say it didn't work. So, at that particular point, that's when I came back again here. And my uncle in Abu Dhabi, in the capital, said, let's try getting you into the capital, some of the jobs over there. In fact, I actually remember I had a job offer lined up as a phlebotomist that has nothing to do with what I studied. It's basically taking blood, drawing blood and whatever. But I said, okay, at least that's some way to get me into a hospital. Now, everything was going well. The negotiations, the MD of that particular the clinic really liked me and stuff. And he's like, all right, you need to send me your health card, your hard license, as it's called. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. They're like, you need to get a hard license in order to work here. I was like, okay, I'll go and apply for it. So I went to the institution where you have to apply, and they were like, where is your relevant experience? I'm like, I just graduated from university and I've got a job offer. So I've been told to apply for a license. Like, yeah, in order to apply for the license, you need to have 2 years of experience. And I was like, okay, well, how do I get this 2 years of experience without really working? I mean, I've just come from university. They're like, why don't you get experience elsewhere? Go back to your home country or something. And that shook me at that particular point, because I'm like, my home country is here. Where else am I supposed to go? I don't really fit in well with India. But that being said, I still went there and I still tried to do that. And I was told that I was overqualified. So that sort of killed that particular ambition, that particular job offer, which was lying on my table in my desktop. And that therein ended that dream, I believe, at that particular point.
So you're not overqualified for the exhibition company?
Apparently not.
No.
Apparently not. I was adequately qualified for that. I had 0 experience whatsoever. I didn't need any license whatsoever. Just needed to be someone who could speak well. Oh, and that's one of the big things about me. I'm an introvert. I got
then you were a perfect fit.
Exactly.
Okay.
I was the perfect fit for it. I did have a couple of interviews before with other companies, but this one sat well. It was easy. So I was like, all right, fine, let me try it. And yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
From there,
so I lasted about 6 months into that job.
Okay.
And I was let go because I went to have a cup of coffee.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. No coffee break.
No,
it's just 6
apparently
months.
it doesn't work in today's world. You can't have coffee. Yeah. It's not allowed. So I was like, all right, fine. Anyway, I wasn't learning too much from that opportunity. I thought I would be a place, because I'm someone who loves to learn. My whole life has been about learning from the time I was a kid. The stars, the moon, everything. I wanted to learn about it. So even if this was a different field, I was ready to sort of grasp into it. I was 23 years old, and I learned nothing from that particular job apart from just the basics of what the organization or what I had to do. And I immediately applied to whatever else I saw, business development roles, etc. And I got picked literally 2 weeks later after that I was let go from that job in a recruitment company.
Okay.
Completely different, but also similar. And it was in that recruitment company I really sort of learned the word pressure and learned how to work under pressure and learn with targets and learn how to sort of speak and be an extrovert to a certain extent. Because like I said, if you met me about 15 years ago, I would never come in front of this mic.
Wow, okay.
Never. I'd be sitting in the corner somewhere over there. So yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from that particular firm. My boss, he taught me really well. Like, he made me read many different books about sales, marketing, etc. And I absorbed it like a sponge, and I utilized it. And I mean, eventually the hard work sort of paid off, because even though it was recruitment, it wasn't an easy job. I had to basically do a full sales cycle. And then like start from morning at 8 o'clock. By 2 p.m., I need to have got my the companies that I wanted to call all finished, and then I need to call my candidates and then get them prepped for their interview cycles. This happened for about 9 months or so, and even though I worked really hard, I mean my boss saw that. They literally saw how I would spend hours and hours there. Nothing clicked. I could never get a single candidate to go through. They'd go for the meetings, they'd go for the interview, they'd do really well, and then they'd ghost. Because this is this recruitment agency is specialized in the nationalization industry. So yeah, it was a very tricky industry. However, one of them, the one candidate which went through, is what changed my life, I would say, even further. The one person I put through really, really thanked me for that particular role at that particular point. Even though it felt like he had no hope in terms of getting whatever he wanted, but somehow I managed to get him what he wanted. He was the last candidate I placed. And again, I was let go from that particular job because even though I was successfully, I placed one, for my boss, it was not enough returns. It was very diminished returns. So he's like, even though you worked really hard, it's really sad to let you go, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, fine, fair enough. And I worked in interim, just doing odd jobs for about a month. And then the candidate who I placed in the previous company, in the company, rang me up one day out of the blue. I did not even expect it. And I thought he just wanted to say, hi, how's it going, everything. And he's like, listen, I'm setting up a team in the middle of the desert, and it's with the government. And I want you on that project. Who says no to that? The team was going to be basically helping the founding team of this particular firm. This is going to be called the Maliha Archaeological Project. I had no experience whatsoever.
So everything was learning on the job for you?
Everything.
Okay.
I mean, literally everything I got. Up to this day, I like I said, I don't stop learning. I feel if I've learned everything, what's the point of life then? But you can't. There's always something new to learn. So yeah, I got that job, and it was in sales and marketing. And I had obviously no experience in sales and marketing except that first job, which I did, which didn't teach me anything. So again, here I had to learn on the go from my boss, from others around me, from self-learning, from a lot of these different resources. Taught myself how to market, and I understood that in marketing you require visuals, audio and visuals. And I remember my boss telling me, like, let's go out in the desert, let's take some photos, let's do some of this videography stuff. And he was very passionate about it himself. He loves doing it. I think he loves being on the ground. Even though he's a GM, even though he's a director level today, he will still come down with you and he would help you. He would literally help you set up something or the other. And it was him who sort of pushed me into understanding more about photography and videography. And anyway, I used to go with my other co-founders. Back then, we were all just friends. And we would all go out on the deserts on weekends and just explore UAE, photograph it, etc. And what I was learning there, I was utilizing within my job as well over there as a sales and marketing executive. And I obviously learned more on the job because I had free reign to sort of implement what I wanted. And I was given the resources as well to sort of use editing software, learn about it, and obviously spend countless of hours on YouTube to get to the point where I wanted to be. And I mean, it really kicked off for me over there. And I believe in 2019, my boss started telling me, why don't you set up your own company? I remember dragging all the founders. It took me months of screaming and dragging them because everyone was like, yeah, we should do it. But then I literally got the papers printed out. I found out the free zones, the areas, etc., the costings involved. And I remember we just done a pretty big job for the four of us, for freelancers, as you'd call it. So we had some money sitting with us, and we were like, let us invest this into a company. On the 24th of November, 2019, Last Minute Productions was formed.
And they all said, yeah, okay, no problem. We're going to leave our jobs and come in.
No. I carried on. I was in my last corporate work for about up until 2021, just after COVID. I had basically reached saturation point over there, and I decided to say, you know what, I would get more rewards in focusing my efforts in putting it towards something that I have started but not really jumped into. Because LMP was working on the side. We had smaller projects and stuff, but nothing to the scale of what we have today. It has been exponential. Every year, even though we've not really kept a target for ourselves, we've just sort of grown in revenue, in personnel, in skills, in what we can deliver. And it makes me happy. It just makes me feel like, wow. And this is something I just thought it would have been on the side. Like, all right, fine, and I would carry on with my corporate job. Because as you know, everyone over here has this block that if you're here in this particular region, you need to have a job, otherwise you can't really stay here. Overcoming that block, that hurdle, like moment you step out of that, it's another different world. You're suddenly free, and you're also very scared at the same time because you don't know where am I going to get my funds from? How am I going to stay in the country? What is it's a lot of scary thoughts that, I mean, I have to admit, I was afraid when I resigned. My mom was going mental. It's like, you're leaving a government job. You can stay there forever. And I literally could. I didn't have to do anything. I would have gotten paid until I was 60 years old, or whatever the retirement age is over here. I would have retired with a pension, or what. Now they've started the pension scheme. I would have been really happy and content and had to do nothing, just grown fat and old. But that wasn't for me, because like I said, I reached a saturation point at my old job, and I wanted to break free of that. I wanted to break free from these times and from these demands of people, of when you're in the corporate mindset. You have to please too many people, I would say. Getting out of that was one of the best things I've ever done.
Your thoughts on internship?
I may not be the best tutor, as I said. Regardless, I love teaching people. The fundamentals of it, yeah, why not? And if someone wants to learn from us, from how we do things, even if it's how to set up a business, how to run it, and how to break out of that fear that I need to be bound to a corporate, yeah, why not? We're more than happy to do that.